For those of you that has a 6.5 diesel just like me, there's a few upgrades that really you should do for reliability and to really help the engine breathe. Number one, I would say, is the turbo. Um, it comes with a dinky little turbo. I don't know exactly what exhaust housing you could call it, but the GM turbos have a pretty restrictive exhaust housing, and they don't push a lot of air. Of course, wasn't really designed to, but they create a lot of drive pressure, which if you turn them up, put a spool stick, or I forget exactly the name a lot of people use, but Quadstar sell them, spool stick. They do help. It's mostly for like deleting the vacuum pump, but um, doing an HX35 or 40, or even like the turbos that Quadstar sells, the Super 54 and the 60, they really help, just reducing back pressure and providing more airflow to the engine to help it breathe. So a lot of guys will do that, but the one thing that they don't do, a lot of them, is they don't upgrade the upper intake. So I still have my old upper intake. I'll show you what I mean, why you should upgrade it. It's extremely restrictive. The stock turbo outlet is like 2.5 inches, and it doesn't get any bigger until it gets into the lower intake. All right, so this is a 3/4 ton Suburban. Doesn't have an EGR, so it has the upper intake it doesn't have an EGR in it, but yeah. So upgrading your turbo. This is an HX35 knockoff. It's not a genuine one. I know people are gonna say you should run a genuine one, but I just can't get the money for that. Like, I haven't found a good one used to buy and rebuild or whatever. There's just not that many around my area. So I just running this for now, and it's been on there for over a year, and I haven't had any problems with it. Make good boost and doesn't make any noise. I have rebuilt it with genuine parts just to be a little more safe, and I run an intercooler to catch anything if it does grenade. But all right, over there's a K47 intake box. It's got a K&N air filter in it, which I'm going to replace eventually with the stock one. Still flows the same amount. And I've heard a lot of things about K&N, so I might just switch that one out. Those are 4-inch pipes, elbows down to the turbo. The turbo is clocked going down the fender to the intercooler, and then back up on this side. This is all 3-inch piping. This is a 3-inch upper intake that I made myself with just 1/8 inch plate, 1/8 inch plate, and a 3-inch stainless steel. So, and then just universal intercooler kit, 3-inch off of eBay. So if you're gonna upgrade your turbo, you need to upgrade your upper intake. It just, to get the full benefit of the turbo airflow, and without providing more stress to the turbo by trying to shove all that air down these little holes in the upper intake, you need to upgrade your your upper intake. So I'll show you my the old stock one in just a second. I'll show you here we are in the shop, and this is the stock manifold off the 6.5 diesel. It is a 2.5-inch pipe. The boss that the turbo bolts to, I actually had ground off because when I first installed the intercooler, I flipped this backwards so it was facing the driver's side, and this was hitting the windshield wiper motor mount, so I ground that off so that way I could hook up the intercooler piping to it. But so this is the 3/4 ton, the L65 high output engine. So it doesn't have the EGR on it, but it does have like this raised boss up here. This was intake air temperature. I believe this was boost sensor right here, and then this, or not boost sensor, yeah, the electronic boost sensor and then here was where I drilled for a boost gauge. Alright, so number one thing is you get this big boss in the center for, I'm assuming it's for the EGR, so they could use this in cast, and then, you know, when they went to install it, they would just drill that out or install it, whatever, at the factory. But so that's a big restriction. You got air coming in here, and it comes in those little holes. I don't want to say they're really that little, but, you know, it does squish it down quite a bit. You know, it goes from, you know, this 2.5 inch pipe to this, you know, about an inch flat area, through those two, around, and then it's got to go, it basically slams in here and against this thing, and then goes down without really much of you know, smooth change of direction. So it just, in my opinion, it caused a lot of turbulence and inefficient airflow. So that's why I think that getting rid of this thing, as well as a turbo upgrade, is paramount to the performance of your diesel. Just in comparison, I also have my stock turbo here. Let me get it up here. And here's the stock turbo in all of its glory. Alright, so it's got this big old heat shield on there, but if you want to really compare this to, you know, that's wonderful, you know, an HX35 or 40 or S300, it's quite a small exhaust housing here. Get some more light in there, you can see anything, but, you know, it's quite small, although it is not a divided housing like a lot of those HX turbos. It is not very big. And then your exhaust pipe comes here and has this wonky like bulge where it like comes out. So it's got a lot of random changes in direction to go down. It does go to a 3-inch downpipe. So, you know, it's decent, but, you know, most people upgrade to at least a 4 to help the engine breathe better. But, like, a little bitty compressor wheel in there. I mean, this one probably could use a rebuild, but it's not really a lot of play. Get some play, but mostly it's just move around. This one I did put a manual Turbo Master around there. A couple of springs. I had it pushing up to about 10 psi, which isn't really that great for these. I mean, stock's setting is 8, but any more than that, they just start creating more dry pressure, not really giving you any more benefit. So, but yeah, that's my take on turbos and my opinion and why you should upgrade. Thanks.